So in this video we're going to talk about how to design the images on your listing to maximize the virality of your listing and to maximize your brand reach. Every time that someone undergoes a social action around your auction, this is a very powerful branding opportunity. So anytime someone turns up on your listing and clicks a like, places a comment, shares, and most importantly when they bid, this generates a story that goes through the news feed of their friends. So here's an example of a closed listing for a vintage Rolex. This is a real auction and it went very well, picked up a great price, had lots of interaction, but unfortunately the brand reach that came out of it was next to nil. Let me show you why. This image that you see here is what we call the primary image. You can upload as many as 4 images to each of your listings, but this primary image, the first one that people see when they land on your listing, is the most important. It's this image that Facebook takes and integrates with all the social actions when people like, comment, share, or bid. So let's have a look and see what the social actions look like with this particular auction. In this case, you can see Ken Brickley bid on the Rolex. Now, if you saw this coming through your newsfeed, you'd probably just think that it was a story about a Rolex. It says vintage Rolex, the date just, but it's not just a story coming through the newsfeed. Ken Brickley placed a bid on this item, which is the ultimate social endorsement for a brand, and yet no branding was carried with these social actions whatsoever. 8,662 of these stories were generated with 0 branding. So let's go back and have a look at some better ways that we could do it. On the left you can see the primary image that was used with no branding on it whatsoever. On the right we've got a 1200 by 1200 image including branding, and it's designed to be cropped through the middle at 1200 by 627. Now that we've made those modifications, this is what it could have looked like for those 8,600 social actions. If somebody sees this coming through the news feed, they know exactly what it is. It's a live Facebook auction. They know that Webbs is running it, carrying that brand virally through Facebook. And in addition to that, we added the word Webbs into the auction title and into the auction description. Now Ken's bid, this ultimate in social proof, is associated with the Webbs brand. In most cases, Facebook will crop your primary image through the middle for your social actions, but in some circumstances it will remain square, as in these 3 examples here. It is possible to remove every instance of BuddyBid and replace it with your brand, but that's only in the 100% white label version of the application. Get in touch with us for more information about that. So the first thing to think about when you're designing your primary image is how is it going to look if Facebook crops it through the middle. This example here, monster truck doesn't look so good cropped through the middle, so it's not going to make a good primary image. One way around this is to start with an image that's already cropped and simply add blank space above and below it. That works perfectly in most scenarios, and if you add a person in your image, we typically get a much higher click-through because people like clicking on images that include people. The only challenge then is Facebook uses facial recognition software. So when you share a link, it will automatically center the image on any faces. Social actions will automatically crop through the middle as usual, no matter how many faces are in there. But when you share a link, it will center on the faces. The solution to this is upload a pre-cropped image. Let me show you what I mean. So here you can see Industrial Athletic is running a auction for CrossFit Christmas pack, and as their primary image they've uploaded an image which is already designed to be cropped through the middle. So if we take the link for this auction, copy that, when we then go to share the link to the auction on the Industrial Athletic page, you can see that the facial recognition software has centered the image around the face, leaving a white space above the image we don't want. So what we can do is click Upload Image, and upload one which has already been cropped to 1200 by 627, and there you can see it's forced it into the middle to be cropped in the way that we want it to. So in closing is a primary image checklist. First of all, design it at 1200 by 1200 pixels. When you upload it to BuddyBid, it will reduce down to 430 by 430, but you're always better dealing at higher resolution. Try not to make it too cluttered. In some instances, the image is going to be very small, particularly on mobiles. If there's too much in there, then it's simply going to look silly. Best if it looks like content rather than advertisement. The type of imagery that you'd see coming through your Facebook newsfeed on a daily basis is going to get the best reaction from people. If it looks like a billboard or an advert, people just don't like that type of content on Facebook. Do include your brand if you're interested in getting that brand reach. When someone places a bid, this is essentially a story going through the newsfeed of their friend saying, I want to spend money with this brand. Very, very powerful, but unless you include your branding in the imagery and in the words of your listing, you're missing out on that great opportunity. Remember to display the item or the prize that is actually up for grabs, and ensure that it's going to make sense when it's cropped to 1200 by 627 through the middle. You can leave a white space or a blank space above and below on that primary image if you want to. Lastly, pictures that include people tend to have a much higher click-through rate. So if you've got any pictures of someone using whatever you're putting up for auction, this tends to lead to a higher click-through rate. I hope you find this guide helpful. By following these practices, you will get a higher click-through rate and much better brand exposure using BuddyBid.